This right here might be someone's dream phone, and it also might not be, depending on where you stand. On one end, phones continue to get more expensive, and the rising cost of memory is not making it easier. We just saw Samsung make a jump on its base models to no longer be what we've known as premium. On the other end, phone designs are shifting with priorities. The cameras continue to get massive, or more phones are now flipping and folding, which, is also driving the price to go higher. So what if all you want is a good workhorse phone that's not too expensive, can last all day, and can take good photos without some oddball design to pull it off? Well, this is Google's Pixel 10a, and this might just be that phone, though again, that depends on how much you're willing to give up. I'm Jaime Rivera, and it's time for my full review. Alright, I'll admit the rumors surrounding this Pixel 10a had me very underwhelmed because none of the renders showed it to be any different to the Pixel 9a. It almost made us wonder why Google would relaunch the same phone with a different name. But then this is where you shouldn't judge a book by its cover, as it actually has a lot of differences in things that matter. Visually, it borrows a lot from the design we had before. Some call it uninspired, but I fall on the list of people that have asked for a phone with no camera hump, and this phone even outdoes the Pixel 9a in going completely flush. Materials also found some improvements now with Gorilla Glass 7i versus 3. I also like the colors this year a lot more, with this fog now taking more of a greenish tone on the right lighting, though I do wish I went for berry this year. Now, another great change comes in the display. The bezel king is now no more, as the company has reduced these bezels dramatically to give it more of a modern look. Its 6.3-inch Actua display is now also brighter at 3000 nits and supports between 60 and 120 Hz refresh rate. I also wouldn't call it the best panel in this category given how much flicker I've noticed in dark scenarios, but during the day it's plenty gorgeous, and the experience consuming content with these speakers has been pretty good.
The only controversial part that's missing in this build is the
Seriously, what's most controversial about this phone is what you're getting on the inside, because that didn't change much. Same Tensor G4 as last year, which means you're missing out on Google's latest architecture, and the amount of RAM and storage is also pretty dated. That said, it does include new perks like Satellite SOS, which is hard to find on this price. It's got a battery that's even larger than what's on Samsung's Galaxy S26 Ultra, along with fast charging supported. Its connectivity is also close to the latest, and what I do wish this phone had was magnets, as Pixel Snap is crazy useful, and which Apple has already addressed with MagSafe on the iPhone 17e. Still, the most important reason to buy this phone is because it's your cheapest door into the latest and greatest of Google's own approach to Android. You get software updates on day one and the same 7 years of support as if you were buying the most expensive Pixel. And then you get the typical perks Google is known for. Call Assist, Circle to Search, Quick Share to AirDrop are all supported here. Family Link now lets you bring improved parental controls to your family as well, so this is a good phone for your kids actually. I honestly spent most of my time just using it with all the updates to Gemini 3. I mean, even at its low price, it performs well with Gemini Live and all its multimodal functionality. Again, just like if you were using the Pixel 10 Pro Fold. I think the reason I struggle with this phone is because I have noticed Tensor G4 showing a bit of its age during my experience using it every now and then. Some choppy performance where I was trying the camera in certain dark scenarios, which I'll discuss more about soon, and this is not a phone for gamers one bit. That being said, in typical day-to-day, performance was good, battery life was excellent, and phone calls over Google Fi were pretty good, along with its ability to cling to data even in rough scenarios. Obviously, no Pixel is a Pixel without half the story being about the camera, and this is another reason to buy this phone, or at least consider it. Google is known for making miracles even with the least amount of specs you can think of, and that's been the case for every Pixel A series since their inception. I mean, this phone has more in common with the more expensive Pixel 10 than you think, and actually the results sort of show. During the day, I do have to praise Google's improvement in detail. Whether it's the ultra-wide, the primary, or the 2x optical crop, the phone holds up really well. Be that for street shots, flowers, or just about anything. We get the pixel contrasty character that I've praised for years, but for me it's the marriage of that with just the right amount of sharpness, which catches my eye. Sadly, I wish I could tell you the same about night shots. Like, sure, we have 2 cameras with 3 focal lengths, but it's best for you to consider you only have 1 in this scenario. Any photo not taken from the primary is slow, and the results lack detail in most cases. Like, seriously, stick to the primary, and that's about as good as it's gonna get. And then it's crazy that I even tried astrophotography, and it still takes the same 4 minutes it would take with the Pixel 4a back in 2020. Though, yeah, it's too bright here to test it. And then you also get cool tricks like add me and long exposure, but if the basics were so poorly executed, I'll admit I barely even tried those. Selfies and portraits are well done though. Google's skin tones and detail are not overdone. It's seriously almost like if you were using the regular Pixel 10 in these particular cases. But then video is the same story as low light performance. The only usable lens is the primary, and that's assuming you have enough light, because otherwise detail is lost and rolling shutter kicks in as the phone drops shutter speed to compensate. I'd say selfie video is probably better than I was expecting given how decent the dynamic range was, but if you were to watch the results in the 32-inch monitor that I use, yeah, detail is lost in almost every single case, and the shadows are just full of artifacts everywhere. To conclude, let me just end this video the way that I started it. In many ways, this is the dream phone that even I've had, where companies stop worrying so much about calling their phones thin. I mean, I love this idea of having a thicker phone with a bigger battery, no camera hump, and good enough results when it comes to the things that I care about most. Sadly, in many ways, it also isn't my dream phone and just how underpowered it is, where we have competitors pushing far better chips, even at the same price point. To anyone who plans to hold on to this phone for years, the chip actually matters more than you think in guaranteeing those levels of longevity. So, I'd say this phone is not for gamers, nor for those obsessed with the greatest specs and longevity, nor for content creators like me. It's definitely a great phone for your parents who want an easy-to-use phone that'll last all day, and even for your kids, assuming they won't ask you for an iPhone, as most are doing these days. It's almost like if this phone is a palate cleanser in a sea of expensive phones, or those that are overly engineered just to look good. It's not my first choice, but Google's ecosystem has gotten so good over the last couple of years that I seriously recommend that you give this phone a try. It might actually be better than you think, which has been my experience to a certain degree over the last couple of weeks of testing. Let me know if you agree with my assessment in the comments below, and while you're at it, please like, subscribe, and join the conversation in the comments, as you've seen me try to respond to as many as I can. Also follow me on social media, as you're going to see me testing a ton of products right now. The season is crazy. Guys, also, our Technically There podcast with Josh is coming back very soon, so stay tuned for that as well. I'm Jaime Rivera. Thanks so much for watching. I'll see you on the next one.